The American Chamber of Commerce in Korea marks its 70th anniversary this year, and given the recent pledge by both the Yoon and Biden administrations to broaden the security alliance to include a tangible economic partnership, we turn to the chairman of the American business entity here for his thoughts on ways to bolster bilateral economic ventures. Welcome to Issues and Insiders. Today, I have the pleasure of hosting the head of the largest foreign chamber here in Korea, the American Chamber of Commerce, James Kim. Mr. Kim, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Right, Mr. Kim, I understand you were part of the business delegation to the U.S. during President Yoon Suk Yeol's state visit in late April. That being said, let's begin then with your assessment of the economic advancements, so to speak, with regard to this latest summit.
You know, for me, it was such an honor to be part of the delegation and to be in Washington, D.C., to witness the 70th anniversary between the two countries. And also, you know, luckily for us, it's AMCHAM's 70th years of foundation as well. So for us, just to see the 5th meeting between President Biden and President Yoon was quite special. This is also the second state visit that President Biden hosted since the 2 years that he's been in office. And because of that, I think it became very, very special. But as a business person, I look at the numbers. Since 2021, Korean companies have invested over $100 billion in America. And because of this summit, I'm very happy that U.S. companies have also invested or pledged to invest around $6 billion worth of new investments in South Korea. And with 50 MOUs or so, that makes it a very powerful, I thought, a win-win partnership between the two countries and the companies that are involved.
Right. And like you mentioned, Mr. Kim, AmCham, it marks its 70th anniversary this year. Could you perhaps walk us through your entity's journey over the past 7 decades?
Well, I think we have gone through a lot of ups and downs, mainly ups. And for the past 6 years, we've been on a record performance as far as new members. We're having a fantastic year again in 2023. But I want to focus on what we're doing today, which is to really help make Korea regional headquarters. And we have 3 missions for AmCham. One is to help American companies become successful in Korea. We want to bring a lot more SMEs into South Korea. And also we want to help Korean companies invest in America. And obviously, because of the numbers we just talked about, it's working. So we're very happy as an AmCham, really fulfilling the mission that we have for both Korean companies and for American companies.
Right. Mr. Kim, before we proceed any further then, could you tell us a bit perhaps of the gist with regard to the Biden administration's economic policy?
You know, I would say that under President Biden, there's a lot of moving pieces. But as it relates to Korea, I want to focus on IPEF, which is the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. It's the 14 countries, and we feel that with the IPEF concept, we're able to have better trade, and more fair trade amongst the countries and also in the United States. And under the 4 pillars that we talked about, trade, supply chain, clean energy, and also tax and anti-corruption. So countries and companies who can fulfill the 4 pillars will do very, very well under the economic framework for President Biden's economic potential.
And staying with that, Mr. Kim, what can you tell us about what your entity is planning to undertake amid that framework?
Well, we have a lot. I would say in a typical year, we have around 200 events, and many of them are geared towards these kind of economic opportunities. So obviously, our member companies are constantly in dialogue with the U.S. government officials as they come in. We educate them. They also learn a lot from us as well. And for the Korean companies as well, as they want to enter America. So we always want to really coach them through IPEF. And because of that framework, we feel that everyone will be a lot stronger because of that.
Right. And what can you tell us, Mr. Kim, about the merits with regard to investing in Korea for American companies?
You know, I would say there is really a lot. I've been in Korea now for 19 years. And I would say that if I did not have a lot of optimism about Korea, I would not be here for this long. but there are many aspects, right? Number one, it's a very resilient economy. The people are fantastic. Look at the IT infrastructure here. It's really, really world class. It's a sophisticated customer base, which means that companies can come here and use Korea as a testing bed to help them globally, not just here in Korea. And also freedom of the press is very, very powerful. I always want to cite an example from New York Times. They actually moved their headquarters from Hong Kong to South Korea. And they cite all these examples that I just talked about as the main reason for coming to South Korea. They could have gone to other countries, but they chose Korea.
Right, and stay with investment here in South Korea. President Yoon Suk Yeol called on American businesses to expand their investments in South Korea. He spoke to Elon Musk during his state visit and called on Elon Musk to perhaps think about building a Tesla Gigafactory here in the country. What are the prospects, or what would be the merits of having a Tesla Gigafactory here in South Korea, do you think?
No, as I talked about before, Korea is the 10th largest economy in the world. With all the geopolitical challenges underway, I think now is the time for the Korean government to really double down, triple down, and make Korea the best place for foreign companies to invest, including a Tesla. AMCHAM's #1 mission is to help make Korea a regional headquarters. And we just did a survey. This is 2 years in a row that Korea is now rated as the second most desired country in Asia for foreigners to invest in, only behind Singapore. And for me, as long as we continue to make improvements, Korea can be #1. We shouldn't just be at #2.
Right, so there is room for improvement. That being said, Mr. Kim, as part of efforts to perhaps enhance the business environment here on the local front, what are some requests by American businesses?
Well, there are several. It starts with the labor policy. Korea has something called 52-hour work weeks, which President Yoon has already started refining. So again, he's making improvements to that. The tax reform, corporate tax and income tax for individuals, I'm talking foreigners, is a lot higher than in places like Singapore, Hong Kong, and other countries. So those are, again, areas where President Yoon has already helped. Just recently, President Yoon and National Assembly worked together to institute a 20-year flat tax for foreigners working in South Korea. It used to be 5 years. So things like that make it very, very competitive for foreigners to invest in Korea and for foreigners to want to work in Korea longer than the 5 years. But other arenas like CEO risk, it's a big challenge for many U.S. and foreign CEOs to want to take a job in Korea because of the CEO liability. Korea, unlike other countries, the CEO has personal risk individually and commercially. So as a result, you need to be very, very careful because anything that can happen under your watch is your responsibility. So those are some of the things that I know that President Yoon and the whole team are working on, and it's called the Serious Accident Punishment Act. And those are the things that the Korean government is trying to address and refine. I can tell you that I've had a long-standing relationship with President Yoon and his administration, and I really look at them as doing an outstanding job. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo has been in the U.S.-Korea dynamics for many, many years. Foreign Minister Park Jin, I look at these people as the dream team for really enhancing the relationship between the two countries and making Korea a great destination for foreign companies to invest.
Right, and talking about investment then, what are some of the prerequisites, do you believe, for Korean businesses looking to make inroads into the American market?
I think in any country, any business, people are the most important asset. Number one, I think you need the right leader at the top who understands the complexities that a country like Korea can provide. You need a lot of knowledge. And I think you need to find the right partners to really set up the right opportunities here in Korea. And if you can do that, I think you can make Korea very, very successful. In fact, the reason why many American companies are here in Korea is because they're doing very well here. They're succeeding here. And as a result, Korea becomes a very important market for any U.S. company to operate globally. As you know, I ran 3 U.S. companies here, from Yahoo, Microsoft, and GM. They're all here because Korea is a fantastic market for them to operate in. Otherwise, they would not be here the way they have been.
Right. Mr. Kim, in recent times, the phrase friendshoring has been thrown around quite a bit in the media. Could you tell us a bit about the U.S. strategy in terms of friendshoring, and what are its broader implications for the Seoul-Washington ties on the economic front?
You know, given some of the geopolitical uncertainties today, I think having allies in strategic companies are very, very important. And I'd just like to cite a few examples. Take a look at the LG Energy Solutions and GM joint venture with Altium Cells JV. Those are good examples of friendshoring. Look at Hyundai and SK investing very large amounts of money in the United States. SK and Ford. We talked about also GE Renewable Energy and Hyundai, and Netflix and Corning. They're all very, very good examples of friendshoring and having these companies partner together so that U.S. and Korea can be allied, in a very special way. And that way it provides not just short-term, but mid-term and long-term solutions, given the geopolitical, challenges underway.
Right. Mr. Kim, there are corporate concerns here on the local front with regard to the Biden administration's industrial policies that range from the Inflation Reduction Act to the CHIPS Act. That being said, what does your entity hope to do to better address these concerns?
We, again, have constant dialogues with senior officials from the U.S. government when they visit Korea. In fact, we always host the congressional delegation. We've hosted many senators, mayors as they visit South Korea. And through these type of dialogues, we're able to provide on-the-ground, accurate, unbiased information back to these important people. I recently hosted Senator John Ossoff from Georgia. And because Georgia is a very important market for Korean investments such as Hyundai and Kia, we spoke at length about what some of the concerns are about the IRA. But I also know that the U.S. and Korea enjoy a rock-solid relationship where some things may have some negative consequences short-term. Other items could be very, very positive even in the short term. But over a period of time, I think they will all even out, and Korea and the United States will enjoy a win-win partnership for many, many decades to come.
Hopefully you're right, Mr. Kim. What are your prospects regarding economic ventures by South Korean companies amid the geopolitical concerns that you mentioned earlier?
Well, we are continuing to help a lot of Korean companies do more in America. I'll give you a couple of examples. We've had a very close relationship with the New York City Mayor Eric Adams, because New York wants to get more Korean companies to use New York as its hub to invest more. So we recently had an MOU between Korean Airlines and the city of New York. And just 3 weeks ago, I was in New York for a special MOU between SPC, which is the bakery company here in South Korea that also own a lot of U.S. brands, such as a Baskin-Robbins, Dunkin' Donuts, Shake Shack. So now they're using New York as its hub to set up a lot more stores. I believe their goal is to open 2,000 stores in the United States by 2030. So again, this partnership between New York City and a company called SPC makes it very powerful in the largest city in the world called New York City. So we feel that by helping Korean companies forge special relationships with important people like the mayor of New York will give us a lot more opportunities. But also, let's not forget, we want to get more U.S. companies to invest in Korea. So it becomes a win-win relationship.
Right, of course. Mr. Kim, earlier on you spoke about intentions of your entity to create or to establish Korea as a regional hub.
Yes.
That being said, what are your prospects of Korea emerging as a business hub here in the Indo-Pacific region?
I think that given the advent of all the great things that Korea has done, whether it's K-pop, whether it's K-cuisine, whether it's K-movies. I think Korea's branding had become quite special. And because of that, there's no longer a need for the Korea discount. So I really am very bullish about Korea even overtaking Singapore one of these days. As long as we continue to refine the different policies for investments in South Korea, I think, look at this beautiful country we have. We have, 49 million people here, a lot of great resources, the best human capital, and people who want to win. So when that happens, why should Korea be number 2 to any other country here in Asia? And that's the reason why we're very bullish about the prospects to help make Korea the best place for foreign investments to come in, which is why now Korea is now number 2 for 2 years in a row. That was not like that before.
Mr. Kim, do you suppose advances in the entertainment industry with regard to Korean content, especially on the global stage, the soft power, so to speak, has it reflected favorably on business investments by foreigners here in the country, do you think?
Absolutely. You know, it's like any brand. I think now people in America associate Korea as an innovative country, innovator, with very special people from South Korea. I think a lot of people now want to look at Korea as a model. And when that happens, why not set up a shop here in South Korea as a regional headquarters? In fact, when you look at the AMCHAM Board of Governors, we have 8 Board of Governors who are running Asia right here from Korea. And maybe one day we'll have everyone from Korea's Board of Governors become heads of Asia right here from Korea. So those are the things that make it very special. And as long as you have these high dreams and hopes to get Korea to a certain level, I think it's a real reality here today.
Right. Mr. Kim, I understand you're entering your 7th year as head of the U.S. Business Chamber here in Korea. What are your entity's future plans?
You know, we have many plans, but we talked about AMCHAM really helping make Korea regional headquarters. That's something that we feel we're really on a way to succeed.
Do you have a timeline?
I would say in the next 7 to 10 years, that's a very distinct possibility. I know that the Korean government wants to go from number 10th largest economy to 9, 8, 7 shortly. So they have those aspirations, and we have the same aspirations as well. It's a forcing mechanism for us to speak with the Korean government about making some improvements that will facilitate that dream scenario to happen. Okay? The second thing is we created an entity under AMCHAM called the American Business Center. It's to help bring more U.S. SMEs into South Korea. Out of the 30 million SMEs in the United States, with 300,000 doing business abroad, only 20,000 are doing business in Korea today. My goal is to bring a lot of that to Korea, which means more economic opportunities for both countries, more job creation for both, and just strengthening the relationship between U.S. and Korea. So those are a couple of things we're doing. But third is we want to work very closely with President Yoon and his team, and also with President Biden and his team. We have an amazing U.S. ambassador here, Ambassador Goldberg, and his team here. So we feel that by working together, we can really help even further solidify the two countries' partnership and alliance beyond the 70 years.
Right, they have talked about expanding the security alliance
Yes.
to include a greater economic partnership, and listening to you today, I understand it's going to be a very viable plan then.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Kim, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts today.
Thank you very much.
Right, well, that ends this edition of Issues and Insiders. As always, thank you for watching.